What's up? Welcome back to Floberg Runs. A little bit of a different video today. Not a race vlog, not training. I'm in the midst of trying to figure out what I want to do for 2023. I want to run a lot of races, but if you have any recommendations for half marathon or marathon, within the Midwest would be ideal. I've traveled a lot for races. If you have any recommendations, that'd be awesome. But today I want to talk about my new PR in the mile. And it happened all the way back in May of this year. So I just wanted to tell a little story and show you the footage of that new PR.
Ladies and gentlemen, this just in from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Media moguls Floyd, Wonder are now the richest men in the world. That's right, forget about Carnegie, forget about Ford, forget about Rockefeller. Floyd Wonder has the Midas touch.
So if you didn't know, I am a filmmaker and I have another YouTube channel. That's just my name, Eric Floberg. And this whole year I've documented the process of the first full-length documentary I've ever made. I followed this guy named Joe Greer all year long, and it was his entire marathon build all year of running CIM in this December. So that happened 2 weeks ago. He ran that race. All the way back in May, he was asked by Tracksmith to do a mile race as like an influencer. He's a really influential person. So he was in the race with like a guy from The Bachelor and Neve from Catfish, Casey Neistat's friend, and just like a bunch of other, famous people. So we're gonna be filming that for the documentary, but Joe goes, "Hey, would you wanna run the mile that night?" And I was like, I had no idea that they had an open call to the public for a mile race. So I looked it up and then I signed up and I was like, well, we'll see what happens. I'll be in pretty good shape at that point because I ran Grandma's Marathon in June, and this was about 3 or 4 weeks before Grandma's Marathon. And so I was in pretty good shape at this point. So I was like, oh, maybe I could get a PR. I actually opened up this channel in 2020 with a mile time trial, and I ran 5:09 at that time trial with Steven at a track out in Boston. 5:09. I hate that so much. And my goal that day secretly was to, get under 5, but I didn't think I was in that shape then. Having a few marathon blocks of training under my belt, I figured this could be the time, especially if I'm in a group with pacing and all that stuff. So I signed up for the group that was in the 4:50 to 5-minute window. So I was already feeling insecure about that because I was going to be in the back of the pack probably. And then of course that day there was a huge thunderstorm for the track night, and everything got pushed back time-wise. And because everything got pushed back, they still had a full track meet for elites after the public races in the mile. So they consolidated the groups, and I got placed in the 4:40 to 5-minute group. So I was like in the back of the pack of a group twice as big. That felt pretty crappy, I'm not gonna lie. I still wanted to push myself, and so the goal was sub 5, and really this specific goal now that I was in this group and in this pace group was just to hang on, try to sit in the back of the pack, and as long as I sit in the back of the main pack, I should be able to come in under 5. So I went out really hard on the first lap, which you're not supposed to do, and so I just paid for that on lap 2 and lap 3. But I got a second wind in the last 200 meters, 300 meters of the final lap, just kind of, keeping on the heels of people. People were starting to pass me inevitably because they ran their race smart. They held back in their first couple laps, but like I was still on pace to do my best, to have my best time. And so I rounded I'm not used to track. It's not corner. I rounded the last 200 into the last 100, and Joe was on the infield screaming at me. He was timing it, and he was like, I knew I had 100 meters left. And he's like, you have 16 seconds. And I'm like, oh, I can run 100 meters in 16 seconds. So I just sprinted as hard as I could on the last back stretch and came across the finish line at 4:57. And I kid you not, that was like the most out of breath and gutted I have ever felt in my entire life. And you can see in the footage, like me gasping for air. But it was super special, especially with like Joe yelling that. It was one of those like kind of core memories in my running life of him barking that at me, and then me like turning on the jets and going down the straightaway. It was really cool. Just shortly after that, Joe Hale was sitting there, a photographer friend that I'd only kind of interacted with on Instagram online. I saw him and he started snapping photos of me. He got this really cool photo of me pointing at the camera, and then hugged him and said hi for the first time, which was super cool because Joe ended up being someone that was a really close point of contact, and we just grew in friendship throughout the year. So much so that he was at Chicago and he was one of the people that photographed me at the finish line. and got that epic shot where I threw my hands over my head when I went sub 3 in the marathon for the first time. It was really, really cool to find that intersection in my creative life with photo and filmmaking along with the running world. It was just a really special night, really, really cool. Joe ran his mile and we saw the elites run, and Joe photographed everybody. He's a photographer. He photographed all the elites. It was just such a magical night. I know the word is overused, but it was wildly cinematic. It felt like we were living in a movie. I just wanted to share that here because anything running related, I just kind of want to share on this channel, whether it's just for fun or it's just a huge goal or whatever the case is. I just want it to exist here and kind of be a journal and a diary for my running life. And, since I'm so passionate about this sport now. So yeah, if you have any recommendations for races I should run, I really want to run 5K this year, maybe 5K, 10K, half marathon, and marathon. I'm probably going to run Chicago again this fall. I missed the window for sign up, but I can go in a charity again. And I'm just trying to figure out a spring race, maybe May or June, see if I can get the legs going through last bit of winter through May in a training block. Hope you're all doing well. Catch you next time, Floberg Runs. See ya.